Welcome to the Money Mentors Podcast.
Thanks for checking out the Money Mentors Podcast. And remember, if you have retirement or investment questions for us, or if you want to learn more about what we discuss here on the show, feel free to reach out at any time. MatsonFinancial.com. That's Matson with 2 T's, financial.com. And this month, we are celebrating graduation season.
Oh, it makes my heart feel so good when I hear that. And it's not because of thinking of my own graduation or what I've gone through. It's because I want my kids to graduate.
Quickly.
You're looking forward to that.
I am so going to look forward. This time next year, my son will be graduating.
Wow.
Then the year after that, my 2 daughters will be graduating. And that's it. That's it. They're out of high school.
You're not going to hear that.
They're in the college.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I'm starting to temper my expectations about them leaving the house when they graduate high school, because my oldest graduated a couple years ago. She's through her first 2 years at CC. Now she's at Grand Valley. But we're letting her live at home because she's got a job. She's been paying for pretty much all of her college on her own. She didn't want our help. We're going to help her this year when she goes to Grand Valley, obviously. But I'm all for that. Hey, if you want to stay at the house and go to college and save money and have less debt when you start your career, absolutely, I'll help you do that. But you're not going to, as I tell my son, you're not going to sit in your room playing video games all day while not going to school, not having a job. So bring on that pomp and circumstance.
Yeah, exactly.
I can tell Gerald's been thinking about this a lot.
Right?
I'll sign him up
already
for the
been
military.
out, so it was easy for the other 3.
Oh, my goodness.
We're having a conversation off air. Can I just sign him up for the military right now? He's 17. I can just sign for him.
Only if you could.
Right. Now, are you steering them in any particular direction other than the military? Are you saying, hey, why don't you major in this or that or the other?
Honestly, the conversations Julie and I have with them is like, yes, we want you to earn a good living, but that can't be the focus of what you're going to do, because I made that mistake. I went to school knowing I wanted to be an aerospace engineer. I saw the dollar signs of what they got paid. First 2 years of school, I see that, and I had the pleasure of meeting some aerospace engineers and getting to know them and see their personal life. And then I hit the brakes. I'm like, that's not me. I'm not going to enjoy that. I love that type of work, the math, the numbers. But it was like one of my friends I went to school with, he's an aerospace engineer. He's worked for Lockheed Martin his entire career, project manager.
Wow.
He's 2 years older than me. He just got married a few years ago. No kids, really no family. Now, granted, he's traveled the world and probably has seen some very cool things working in the aerospace industry, but that wasn't my lifestyle I wanted. So the conversation we're having with them is, don't chase the money. Think about what you really enjoy doing and transfer that into what type of careers are out there.
I love that, because in that same instance, you could take that, and that's exactly what we talk about with our clients.
Right.
When they meet with us during that first meeting, yes, we're asking you to bring your statements and things, and we'll get to that, but that money part will come. We're here for the relationship and getting to know you and what is it you want to do, what makes you happy, what's your passion. You've worked so hard to get to this point. How are you going to now flip this switch, which we know is emotionally taxing, but enjoying that you actually are retired?
Right.
Because I've got those clients who, have averaged 30, 40, maybe 50,000 a year as income for their working lives, and they're retiring with over $1 million, close to $2 million. Wow. But they loved what they were doing, and they had an eye for the future. They didn't
Good
try
savers.
Right? Yeah, weren't leveraged to the Hilton credit card. It's about having that plan. You can have that lifestyle you want if you have the discipline to do what you need to do early. Discipline equals freedom.
Yeah. And building some of those good habits along the way. It's amazing how many times I know you do see that at Matson Financial Services when someone's coming in with their life savings at Matson Financial from all these different careers. But interesting to note here, collegerecruiter.com says those kids who are majoring in engineering, computer science, math, or science are going to enter the job market in better shape than most, with starting salaries right now, 2024, in the mid-70s. So not bad. So if you do have someone going that direction, certainly, not a bad idea. But again, back to your point, Gerald, you have to enjoy what you do along the way. I know both of you actually enjoy what you do too. And maybe both of you didn't exactly picture yourselves here, but here we are all these years later, both of you doing
it's a
this.
strange path we took. I know,
It is. I know, because a lot of people think like, well, was this the plan all along? Like, Gary, did you talk about this with Laurel and all of this? And it's like, no. He is such a planner and a visionary, but I was never a part of that. I mean, since I was 10 or 12, I wanted to be a pediatric dentist.
Wow.
And I went to school at Saginaw Valley, and I chose that school because I was also playing volleyball. So it was allowing me to play, have this college experience, but also have a pre-dental education. Didn't enjoy my courses, kind of the same thing with Gerald. You're getting into it, and it wasn't for me. And I was like, okay, well, I'm doing these business things. What can I do with business? Well, aha, my dad's in business, you know?
Yeah.
And I had this really interesting thing happen. I think that was a very pivotal moment to where my grandfather had passed and some of our clients were actually at that service. And that was so impactful because I had that moment of, obviously dad has been a part of their life for several years, but they then took time out of their schedule to come be a part of his and support him.
Wow.
And I wanted to feel that forever. And that's why I'm here today, you know, and why we're doing what we're doing.
Shows the kind of relationship that you build with your clients there at Matson Financial Services. I love that. And just had one of your First Friday events, too, with your clients. You do regular get-togethers. It's not just about sitting down and going over numbers. You actually like to get to know what's going on in their lives, and they like the frequent updates, too.
Yes, we had an awesome turnout. It was so great to see everybody. We had some first timers that have never come before, and we had some people who've been there 10 plus times at our First Friday event. So thank you to all of you for coming out. We had an educational series on cybersecurity. If you want more information about that, you can email us at info@matsonfinancial.com or go to matsonfinancial.com and you can submit a request there and we'll send you some of that information. But a special shout out to our event sponsor, the DoubleTree Grand Rapids Airport Hotel. They were so awesome. I'm a huge fan of their chocolate chip cookies. And fun fact, more than 30 million are consumed each year. And man, I think I could eat that many myself.
So I think we give away that many cookies in meetings, don't we?
Right? Probably so. We're just cookie lovers if you can't tell.
Oh, my goodness.
But it was such an awesome event, and we'll be hosting our next one August 2nd. That's Friday, August 2nd from noon to 3. We're going to focus on family harmony. So that's so crucial for us that we're setting up this plan. And if you're one of those that you want to give to kids, grandkids, charities, how do we do that the most tax efficient way, but also not rocking the boat? I know you're not going to be here, but we want to make sure you still have that family harmony of who's left behind and what that means. So you can find more details online.
Just go to matsonfinancial.com, Matson with 2 T's, financial.com. Click on that events tab there at the top of the page. It'll get you up to date there. You can sign up for our newsletter and more right there to matsonfinancial.com. We'd love to see you there. Now, we get questions all the time about things, you know, especially when it comes to investing, and tackle that at some of those events too. And I was reading this Forbes article, Laurel and Gerald, recently that had several advisors debating, at what point do you have enough saved to stop investing in what's called traditional mutual funds and start investing in things like stocks and bonds, more advanced strategies instead? So their answers from these advisors ranged from $100,000 to $500,000 in investable assets. But what do you think? I mean, at what point do we graduate to kind of those more advanced investment strategies?
I'm going to kind of break this into two parts.
Okay.
I mean, when you're talking about specific stocks and bonds and the options for those, or things like mutual funds or exchange traded funds, the base answer is it comes down to purchasing power. If I have, say, $10,000 to invest, and I'm looking at just stocks and bonds, I can maybe buy a couple different stocks and maybe one or two bonds because of the purchasing power. With that same $10,000, we can look at using exchange-traded funds, and instead of just being invested in 4 or 5 different companies, now we're talking about thousands of companies because it's inside of a fund. So you have fractional shares of all of those companies. So it allows you to be more diverse from a standpoint of the same dollar amount. Now, once your purchasing power is over that, usually around $50,000, that's most of our portfolios that we're managing. That's kind of the entry point that lets us get more diversified and have enough purchasing power to have proper diversification that you would see in an exchange traded fund. Now, the other part of this is I'm going to say I don't like mutual funds Period. End of sentence.
None of us do. That's like our philosophy here, you know? So
With about 95% of mutual funds, there's higher costs. I can't trade them like a stock. Like with a mutual fund, if you want to sell that mutual fund because the market is just tanking that day, you can put the order in at 11 a.m. It's not going to sell till the market closes at 4. So things like exchange traded funds trade just like a stock, give us the same diversification, or we have specific stocks. So mutual funds, higher fees, less flexible trading, and just line of sight. I can't see
Yes.
what's in most mutual funds. It could be a mutual fund of 40 other mutual funds, and each one of those funds has other mutual. What do you own? They
read the prospectus and it's not going to be fun.
No.
they all have different fancy names, and I don't know what my clients are invested in. That's why we love exchange traded funds. If I want to buy the S&P 500, there's all different kinds of ETFs, exchange traded funds. I know exactly what's on the S&P 500. I'm going to get the same diversification at a much cheaper price than buying one stock of each company that's on the S&P 500, for instance.
I think that's really important to understand. You know, Gerald said a lot of that purchasing power kind of starts at that $50,000 mark is where we see a lot of our portfolios too. Is that's why we've talked about time and time again of, you know, having $250,000 to invest as a starting point. Because if we want to diversify, we don't want you to come to us and say, hey, here's my $50,000, everything I've saved, please invest it for me. Well, if we put it just into the stock market and the stock market goes down, all I can say is hold on, it'll come back. Or you're going to get out and suffer losses, or you're going to take income from a lost position. There is no true diversification of how you can react to the market. So if we can invest your money, you know, this $250,000 in various portfolios based on the goals that you set out in the beginning that we've talked about, now we have opportunity to harvest when the markets are up and take that and put that on the sideline and also buy in when the markets are down. So that's why we refer to ourselves as active money managers, because we're looking at all of this and we don't charge any fees when it comes to trading. You know, if we're going to go from portfolio A to portfolio B today, tomorrow, the next day, it is the same fee that we're charging because we don't want to have any gray area that, oh, Matson Financial's doing that for their own reasons, not for my best benefit. No. We're doing this for your best benefit based on those goals, and that's why there's no fee to do so.
Want weekly lessons from your money mentors? Yes. Hit the subscribe button now and listen every weekend on Wood Radio.
The opinions expressed in this program are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult your financial advisor prior to investing. Any past performance discussed during this program is no guarantee of future results. Fee-based financial planning and investment services are offered by Matson Financial Services, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance products and services offered through Lakeview Financial Group, LLC, Matson Financial Services, LLC, and Lakeview Financial Group are affiliated. To find out if Matson Financial Services is licensed in your state, please call 800-536-8907.